सुख है राम में रम कर देखो, सब देखोगे अंतर मन में राम को क्षण भर देखो, सब में राम ही राम समाए, सब में राम ही राम समाए, क्या हीरा क्या कंकर, राम नाम के दो अक्षर से तैर गए हैं पत्थर, बिगड़ी बात बना देते हैं राम नाम दो अक्षर, राम नाम के दो अक्षर से तैर गए हैं पत्थर। जय जय राम जय।
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। We started last time the second chapter, trying to locate what is the cause. What is the cause of our happiness, or what is the cause of our unhappiness? This is a critical thing for us to understand, because if you don't get the cause right, can you ever get the result? This is what we absolutely need to understand. Deepak Sethi, you have a question?
Yeah, Janki, I need two clarifications. I'm on a phone, so I'm not putting my video on. My question was, or my point was, that like you said, you ended up last class by saying that we have to locate the cause correctly. Yeah. And you ended up chapter 1 by saying, and the cause lies within. Right? So I'm putting the two things together, and I'm asking that in the chapter when you said the cause lies within, were you meaning the fact that, you know, you know, it really depends upon your internal reaction to non-acquisition of your desire, and therefore you say that it lies in your inner personality? And you could also be meaning that the cause lies within the self, or the cause is in the self and the self is within, therefore it lies within. So my first clarification was that in that chapter, when you said cause lies within, were you referring to both aspects, or were you referring to the first aspect, that it is a question of how you process it?
The whole second chapter is meant to explain that.
Okay, so we'll wait. Yeah, okay. So the second one was that the key to happiness is independent happiness, right? Or
Yeah,
happiness is in fact independent happiness. And we said that dependent happiness is that you pursue your desire, or let's say what you call as very correctly as happy objects. And when you get, then your happiness in that case is dependent upon your acquisition of that happy object. That is dependent happiness.
Not just acquisition.
Yeah.
All the points we discussed.
All the points, the 10
Yeah,
points. Yeah,
acquire it and
absolutely.
still not be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's dependent happiness. Independent happiness is independent of all those, right? And my understanding is that it constitutes of two factors, and I just want you to correct them. Number one is that it consists of our putting the right perspective and premium on the process, because it is not just the acquisition, it is also how well have we gone about doing it. That in itself is a source of joy and happiness. And this is a guaranteed one because we have a control on the process. Yeah.
Okay. That we will cover when we go to the cause. Is it the process?
Okay.
Should we concentrate? And if it is the process, and why don't we concentrate? All that will come under cause.
Yeah. No, what I was referring to was that it's not just the acquisition plus the other factors, but there is this factor of how well have you gone about doing it, which in itself gives you the joy. So that's independent of the acquisition. The process is independent of the acquisition and the moving parts. And the other part was that how do you process a non-acquisition or any of those moving parts going away, right? And when you process it with the right, kind of knowledge insights, Vedantic insights, then the frustration, being upset, all that kind of disappears because you have the right perspective to deal with it. So would these two factors constitute independent happiness?
No, not really. These are only symptoms or manifestations. They are not they would not constitute it, because you can obviously think of a person who has the knowledge but still can't deal with that situation. And you also have the possibility of knowing that, yeah, I know I should pay attention to the process and all that, but I can't do it. So these are manifestations. They're not actually getting to the root. So we are going to go to the root now. We're going to go to the absolute root.
Okay. So if I was to modify what I said to say, it is knowing it and doing it, which is processing, paying the right value to process, and also to processing any non-acquisition, etc. Knowing and doing it. Would that then by itself constitute the independent happiness?
No, it will still be manifestation. You will be able to do this when something else happens. So it's a manifestation. And there may be multiple manifestations.
Okay.
But let's go to the cause. Now it will all become clear as each sort of chapter telescopes into the next. So leave you with this thing so that in the next one, and which you have done, obviously, I start thinking, what does that mean? So so once you ask these questions, then hopefully the next chapter should answer them. Let's see if it does.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Fine.
right
Thank
thing
you.
by questioning. Now let's see if the book does the right thing by answering. We have a way of assessing here.
Yeah.
So this
thank you.
This whole chapter is to do only one thing: focus on the cause. Just focus on the cause. That's it. Right? Do not ask the question, now what shall I do about it? That we will worry about later on. All we are going to do now is understand the cause. If you even understand the cause, that's a big step forward. That's a massive step forward. Let's just all focus on the cause. So at least when something happens, I know why this is happening. Now, what shall I do about it? Don't worry, it is coming. So don't worry about it. This is only going to find out cause. Now you say, oh, I don't want to know the cause. Just tell me what to do. Well, then just telling you what to do is not in this book. Then please read the next book, because that will tell you all the exact things to be done. This is a book which is called The Philosophy of Happiness. That means you're going to try and fathom what is going on, because that is the philosophical method. You just understand what is going on. And if you can do that, you live life at a different dimension. You're not asking the question what to do. You're asking the question, at least in this book, what is really going on? That's the question you're going to answer. Okay, let's understand this chapter. It's critical for us to understand what's going on in life. So this chapter, if you have to put it in one word, that word would be
Cause.
very good. Big cause. That's all we are going to do. See how much. Ooh, big chapter on cause. Cause will be so easy, right? Right up to page 66 we have. What is this page 33? 33 to 66. We are only going to discuss cause. Only a philosopher can do this. Everybody else will give up long before. Okay, chalo, let us,
Janki, it is the cause for what?
for all
The
this,
word is cause, but it is for what?
for either happiness or unhappiness, because its presence or absence determines
Okay.
what is happiness. We frequently scout for happiness in the wrong place and thus return empty-handed and disillusioned. So not only do we return empty-handed, but we also return disillusioned. Disillusion means you get fed up with the whole process. You begin to think this world is a horrible place to live. Everything is terrible. So you come back without what you wanted and you're disillusioned by it. You say, oh, sab moha maya hai. Everybody is very bad. You know all these things that you can read sometimes, right? Oh, women are so bad, men are so bad, children are so bad, money is so bad, everything looks bad to you. What has happened? You have returned disillusioned from whatever was the pursuit. But it would not be such a futile search if only we looked in the right place. There are always easy pickings at proper locations. There is no point going fishing in the desert. This is explaining the concept of the cause. What is the concept of the cause? If you know where the cause is, you will not go hunting different places. And if you don't go and hunt in the wrong place, you are more likely to get it. You don't get it because you're hunting in the wrong. And then you say, no, there's no such thing as happiness in this world. This is a terrible world. It is only sorrow. No, you went looking in the wrong. If you go looking in the right place, you find it. What is happiness? Right? So as a good philosopher, you know that whenever you start a discussion, you start with
First principle.
Definition.
definitions. Very good. First, you start with the definition. So what is happiness? Let us establish that. Happiness can be defined as the absence of mental agitation. The cessation of mental agitation is called happiness. This is how you experience it. When agitation ceases, we experience happiness. No one can be agitated and happy. There cannot be an angry happy person or a jealous happy person. Mental agitation and happiness are mutually exclusive. So all this is an explanation of the definition. So what is happiness? It is the cessation of mental agitation. How do we know this? Because whenever you find agitation, you never find happiness. You cannot be jealous. You know, when you're jealous, you're so agitated. Are you ever happy when you're jealous? Or when you're angry, so agitated? Are you ever happy and angry together? Can't be, right? The cause of agitations, the bittersweet truth. Bittersweet because some part of it will seem bitter and some part of it is really empowering. What causes mental agitations?
Janki ji, what is the definition of agitation? Isn't it a little bit circular now to say that happiness is the cessation of agitation? In which case, the question is, what is the sharp definition of agitation? For us to understand what is it that is not there, which is happiness.
Agitation is movement of thought.
But there can be positive movement of thought. That's not agitation.
We will come to that. It is agitation by definition. So we'll come to that. But you say, no, but
Okay.
I'm feeling good. We'll deal with all these things. Yeah. It's all, it is a,
So right now, agitation is the movement of thought.
right now means at all times. Yeah.
Okay. Meaning from our learning point of view.
Yes.
When we learn it, then it is from all points.
Correct. Okay, so what is happiness? It is absence of mental agitations. Now, the thing is, what causes mental agitation? We believe that agitations descend on us from objects, beings, situations. They cause us to be stressed. We believe so strongly, right? That something has happened. It could be an object, it could be a situation, it could be a person, it could be a being. My pet passed away, or my husband was rude to me, or a situation, I'm caught up in traffic. We believe that these cause us to get agitated, to get stressed. We assume that we are the passive receivers of joy or sorrow. We assume that we are the passive receivers of joy or sorrow. I don't know. This basic assumption that we make strikes us so much that we receive very passively both joy as well as sorrow. This is a falsehood easily consumed. And each one of us makes that assumption. It's a falsehood easily consumed, easily believable. We all think so. Centuries of Vedantic research established an unbelievable, unalterable, bittersweet truth. There is only one cause of mental agitation, and that single cause is desire. There is no other cause. All mental agitations emanate from desire. Agitation or stress is nothing but the longing of the mind for something. Correlating the cause and the effect correctly is imperative for solving the problem. Okay, so where do all mental agitations come from? There's only a single source, and that source is desire. And we have to know this cause and effect relationship, otherwise we will never solve it. Right? So what we've established the cause and effect relationship, desire causes agitation. Oh, let's go further. Someone insults us. We are angry and hurt. We believe that his words have agitated us. The bittersweet truth is that his words have no ability or capacity to hurt or anger us. What hurt us was the interruption of our desire. Unless we want the person's good opinion, his words cannot affect us. If there was no desire, there would not have been a reaction. His words would have gone by unnoticed. So many things fall within our vision. We fail to see them. So many words fall on our ears. We don't hear them at all. We react only when there is a desire. And the reaction is proportional to the strength of the desire. Somebody insults you. You're so sure, right? He's agitated you. Everybody is sure about this. But it's not true. The bittersweet truth is that no words have the capacity to anger, hurt, agitate, irritate us. You need to take a deep breath and swallow that. If you're finding it a bitter pill to swallow, think about it. Is there any other way? So many thoughts, so many things our eyes see, right? Do we react to them all? So many words fall on our ears. Do we react to them all? So many things our sense of touch feels. Do we react to it all? We react to some. Right? You enter a house, there's a Hussein painting there. Will you notice it? If you do notice it, what about the painting will you notice? Will you notice the price tag? Oh my God, they got a Hussein painting. Original hai kya? Because in your mind, you're doing multiplication. You notice. And notice what? You notice the beauty, its presence or absence. You notice the price tag. What? So don't notice everything. And of the things you notice something in particular. Why? Why that thing? The only reason that thing mattered to me is because that is where my desire lies. Otherwise, nothing. Mahesh. Does all desire cause agitation or ungoverned desires only? All desire causes agitation. Because if you have claimed that desire is the cause of agitation, then all desire has to be. Desire is the cause of agitation. Did it say ungoverned desire? It didn't say ungoverned. It said desire is the cause of agitation. If you have a desire, you will be agitated. Otherwise, you will have to throw this book in the bin because it meant ungoverned, but it said desire. Can't happen. If it says desire, it means desire. I mean, you may disagree. That is, of course, your prerogative. But the stance is, Vedanta stance is, desire causes agitation. Okay? And we can. Okay, so shall we continue? Yes, everybody is clear up to this point, right? I hope you're following the line of thought. Anybody has anything? Followed line of thought? All clear? Any problems? Disagreements? Anything?
Actually, following the line of thought correctly so far, but still have to come to grips with, as Mahesh said, that if it's a governed desire and you meet it, then there is no agitation. So still got to get to grip to it, but with you so far in terms of the line of thought that if the cause is desire, then all desire causes agitation. So let's go further with you.
Yes, let us see what the book has to say. Fire no doubt burns. Okay, now this is explaining the point. So you're angry, you're hurt, you believe that the other person was the cause of it. This is not true. The only thing that was the cause of it was the desire. So how do you know that? Reason number one. Everything you see or hear or taste or smell or touch, and you're doing that 24 hours a day almost. Or if you don't accept that, at least 18 hours a day you're doing that. Not reacting to everything. You're reacting to something. So what does that show? There's a cause other than that. Right? So what's our first reason? Our first reason is we are not reacting to everything. How are we establishing? So now we come to this another kind of explanation. Fire no doubt burns. Suppose I ask you, does fire burn? What's your answer?
Yes.
Yes. Seems quite clean, right? Fire burns. But that's not true. For fire to burn, It requires inflammable materials. Isn't that true? If it's not an inflammable material, inflammable for whatever reason in English means that which can burn. Many people believe it means what cannot burn, but it means that which can burn. But it requires inflammable materials. Remove the inflammable material and fire loses its power. Hence, in Indian mythology, Lord Shiva, the destroyer, is married to Annapurna, material objects. The destroyer can destroy only if there is something perishable. A mother used to complain that her child broke everything, toys, crockery, everything. Her neighbor claimed that she did not face such a problem. The mother was intrigued. How is that? She asked. I keep only steel objects in the house, replied her neighbor. So no matter how destructive a child is, if the objects are all steel, what can he break? A destructive child requires breakable objects. If there is nothing breakable, what power does the child have? Similarly, the harsh world hurts. But when there is no desire, what power can it have? Remove the desire, and the world cannot hurt anymore. Another illustration. Take a test tube with a chemical, add another reacting chemical, and watch the fun. But pour the second chemical into an empty test tube, there is no reaction. You get it, right? There is a test tube with a chemical in it. Then you put another chemical into it, there may be a reaction. But if you put it into an empty test tube, that same chemical, will there be a reaction? To attribute the reaction only to the added chemical is to ignore the role of the existing chemical. Similarly, we have desires within. Add an external stimulus. Only if a corresponding desire exists within will there be a reaction. Else nothing. Zilch. One hears of a musical performance in the news. If there is a desire within, there is a reaction. That is the excitement, the buying of the tickets, the going to the program. But if there is no desire for it, there will be no reaction. No planning, no feelings, no actions. One with no interest in it will not register the news. You will not even notice that it was there. Likewise, the words we hear hurt or please depending on something within us. The words by themselves have no capacity to either hurt or please. The same words may not hurt enough. It all depends on the listener. As the former First Lady of the US, Eleanor Roosevelt, remarked, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. If you have feelings of inferiority within you, anybody can trigger that. But if you don't have those feelings, how can anyone trigger it? The fact is that we are part of the equation, probably the more important part. Milton wrote that the mind is its own place. It can make a heaven of a hell or a hell of a heaven. Some have the knack for making any situation joyful, and some for grumbling. Some people perceive a situation and improve it. Some people become part of the problem. So is it clear? What is it that we are trying to establish? We are trying to establish that there is only one cause, and that cause is desire. Most people believe it's an external circumstance. But that external power becomes powerless unless that desire is within. This is what we're trying to establish. Have we established it, or do you feel that no, we haven't established it?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, Meeta.
What is the difference, like desire and expectations? If like you have a desire, okay, I want to learn Kathak, I want to get a master's degree, and you have that desire keeps you going on, that there's something you're looking forward to in life. There's a goal, and in spite of lot of things, but still, you keep on pursuing. But and then you don't expect that sometimes things might go wrong, or you're not able to do something for some period of time, then you don't. So there is a difference between desire and expect. If you don't expect, then you don't feel hurt or miserable or agitated. But desire will always be there, no? Otherwise, life will be very complacent. How can you just live desireless life? Then it's like as if you're dead. I don't know, I feel like that.
Yes, but remember that when people live like that, it's not because they are desireless, it's because they desire complacency, they desire laziness, they desire not doing something. It's not absence of desire that ever makes you complacent. It is a desire for lack of effort, or desire for laziness, or the desire for thing that makes you like that. Whatever you are is the result of your desire. Whether you're lazy or active, both are the result of desire. So you, like Deepak said, he's felt, and you and everybody, obviously, when you meet this thought, you always will say this. How can that be? If I don't have the desire to do something good and noble and great, or do kathak or whatever, then how will I ever do anything good in this world? Right? But now you made some kind of distinction with expectations and desire. They're both the same thing. So all the bad stuff you put under the term expectation, and all the good stuff you put under the thing desire. But they're both the same thing. So that desire of yours, you can use positively or you can use negatively. That is clear. However, the fact remains, without desire, no agitation. That fact you cannot change. Now, what to do about desire? How do you make it positive? How do you use it for your welfare? All that we can work out later on. Now, just establishing, is this true that desire is the cause of agitation? That's all we're establishing. Okay. Is this your first class, Meeta? Okay. Good. Feel free to ask anything, and if you don't agree, feel free to disagree. So you don't have to agree with whatever you're hearing. So, are you okay? Are you satisfied with this?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, desire is the cause of all the agitations, because it is, as you said, it's the same word as expectation. So, you are not able to practice for a day or two. You feel like I'm not practiced, that agitation happens. So, yeah, it is true. It is true.
So anyone else has a problem with this? Because that's all going to build up from here. So if you have a problem, deal with it now. Mahesh, desire is also a flow of thoughts, isn't it? Yes, that's correct.
So is it different from agitation, or?
No, we've said no. That is why.
So both agitations are a flow of thought and desire is also a flow of thought.
Yeah, because agitations is coming from desire. As long as your thought is going to flow, you are going to be agitated. Now, often, as mentioned, it's feeling okay. It's feeling good. But, okay, we'll deal with all of that later on. But yes, all of this is the same bandwagon. There is no difference in all these things.
One question comes up, I think it has come up before as well, is that what about physiological drives, right? Like the physiological drive to have food, is that in the same category as desire? Or, I mean, how
Oh.
because if you don't get food, you'll get agitated if you're hungry.
That is easy. If you get agitated, obviously you have a desire. The more difficult one is if you don't get food, you'll die. So it depends on what you mean by physiological. If you mean the cause and effect of how this body runs, then yes, that is true. If the body doesn't get food, it will die. If it doesn't get air, it will die. If it doesn't get water, it will die. Right? This is a mechanical cause and effect. But when we're talking about desiring it, that's a mental cause and effect. Like if I desire it and I don't get it, I'll be agitated. If I desire life and I don't get it, I'll be agitated. Or I feel like I'm losing it, I'll be agitated. So this is not true for all people at all times. That they are about to lose their life and they're very agitated. And the most outstanding example has to be, Shahid Bhagat Singh walking to the gallows. He's about to lose his life. Is he showing agitation? So it's not necessary that this will happen. That when I'm hungry, I have to be agitated, or about to die, I'm going to be agitated. Socrates is on the bed. He's been given hemlock. He's going to die. And he himself covers his thing. Then he puts it down again and he says, "Oh, I owed a chicken to that man. Please remember to give it to him." And then he closes it again. So are we seeing any kind of agitation here? He's like, "Oh my God, that one job was left. Please somebody do this for me." So you're not seeing agitation. So it's not necessary that agitation will occur under these circumstances. 9 out of 10 cases it will, but not 10 out of 10. And unless it's 10 out of 10, you cannot call it cause. There hasn't to be a single exception to this rule. Because if it's the cause, no exception. In fact, this English term that the exception proves the rule? In the language English has changed over a period of time. So earlier, the word proves meant test. So what the line actually means is a single exception will test the rule. That means if you can find even one exception, it's not a rule. But over a period of time, the meaning of proof changed and the understanding of that statement changed. What it means is a single exception will disprove it, not prove it. Because a single one is enough test. So you have to, if you're thinking about this, you have to think of a single instance in which there was agitation but no desire. Even if you get one such instance, you disprove this.
But doesn't this teaching have to come with this idea, or fact, that you're not the body, you're not the mind, like you're the Vedantic, like you're going to identify not with the body or mind, so you don't have to identify the physiology either.
We don't need to go there. We are just establishing cause. Now, all that is all separate. At the moment, we are saying if there's an agitation, there has to be a desire. Simple. What all it's related to is not really relevant at the moment.
I understand.
So everybody has a very simple job. Find one exception to the rule. And this rule will have to be thrown out. Just find one exception. Taruna, are you trying to raise your hand to say you have an exception?
No, ma'am, I have another question. I'm
Okay.
waiting for my turn.
Huh.
Ma'am, however logical or reasonable your expectations are, still the cause is desires.
Of course. What is logic to do with anything?
Means like when you work for a month and then you expect a salary, it is the obvious thing. And then how come this expectation is wrong?
Because it is wrong. How can you have that expectation? On what basis is that expectation? Is it true that every single time somebody has worked for a month, they got a salary? So on what grounds have you come to this conclusion that you will get it? So it's not logical.
Okay. So this is logic given by us.
Yes, we created the logic. But you can say, I have data, I work for the government has always paid me. For the last 25 years, they have paid me. So I now think that the next month they will pay me. Then you have some basis. But even if you have some basis, you can still be wrong, right? I mean, that particular month, for whatever reason, may not come. But we live in a dream world, especially youngsters. So they earn some fantastic amount. You know, that whole Dubai crash, they were doing very well. They were earning a lot of money. And then suddenly Dubai crashed. So when they were earning money, then they bought these palatial houses. They said, oh, I am earning so many crores, only so much EMI. I can do this. And who told you that crores are going to continue? The assumption, all these are assumptions we make. They are not logical.
Right. Right. Only because something is for a continuous period of time or it happened
In the past, all mutual funds start like that, no? They all give you
right.
that warning. What happened in the past is not necessarily what is going to happen in the future.
Right, right.
They are bound now by law to say that. I think we should bind by law. Every child learns that for everything. Just because happened in the past doesn't mean it will happen in the future.
Right. And the dilemma is that we think it is logical. So that again is the ignorance that harms us. First thing is we don't understand, and then we have a wrong notion as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dipali. Dipali, are you old Dipali, new Dipali? Can you put on your video? I'm in the path of Jnana Yoga and Bhakti. So if creation is due to desire, then why Ishvara, God, created creation? Because we have come to this world, no one is perfect, bound to make mistakes and suffer less or more. So Dipali, where are you? Can I see you anywhere here? Can you switch on your video, Dipali? Are you also new to the class? Hari Om Dipali. New? I don't think I've seen you before. New, right? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm new to the class.
Okay. So you're on the path of Jnana and Bhakti. So if creation is due to desire, then why Ishvara, God, created creation? Because we have come to this world, no one is perfect, bound to make mistakes, suffer more or less. So this is also on an assumption. Your assumption is that Ishvara created this world. Okay. So why
Yes.
should you make this assumption? What grounds do you have to make this assumption? You're saying no one is perfect. That is correct. You're bound to make mistakes. That is also correct. And suffer less or more. That is also correct. All these are statements which are true. We know they're true. But we do not know whether Ishvara created this world or not. How do we know
Okay,
this?
but I think if someone's on the path of Bhakti Marg, then if we read Bhagavad Gita, then Lord Krishna says that every creation is like I have created. The whole creation is within me. So that's why I wanted to just ask.
So please notice the difference between what you just said. I created it and it is within me are two separate and distinct statements. They don't mean the same thing, right? You created something and something is within you are two different things. I created a painting is different from the painting is within me, means I ate the painting. They're two different things, right?
Yeah, they are different things.
So wait. I'm
Uh,
not going there. I'm just telling you
okay.
that it's different. But at the moment, we are not discussing any of that. At the moment, all you have to concentrate on is and question is it true? that all agitations come from desire. Is this true?
Of course, it is true because
That's all. Yeah, that's all we want to study now. And if you already understand this is true, then you're doing very well because it's only your first class and you're able to see that all agitation comes from desire. It's a big thing, to understand that. So next time
yeah,
your mom shouts at you, you will not think that there is something that she said that hurt you. Are you married?
no,
So
I'm
your mom.
currently
Otherwise, I could. Yeah. So I can't say mother-in-law then. So if your mother says something, your father says something, your friend says something, and that hurts you or pleases you, it's got nothing to do with what they just said. To get that at your young
sorry,
age,
ma'am, I just couldn't hear your last words.
I said to get that at your young age, that it's not what they say, but it is my desire that is hurting you. If you get that, fantastic. Just so much, nothing else. We'll worry about Ishvara and everything later. So if you can get this much, all agitation comes from desire.
Okay.
God or complete happiness should therefore then be something to do with this. What it is, we will work out later.
Okay. Thank you.
Momita, the statement that all agitation is caused by desire is a logical statement. Yes, it is. So, not clear. Maybe you said it in context of something, but
Yeah, actually, that time you were talking about talking to Taruna. That's not logical. It sounds logical. So, what we mean by a logical statement is why this statement is logical is because it is based on observation. And we know that there is no exception to this rule, and that is what makes it logical.
it's logical because it follows clear cause and effect relationships, which can be established. It is not like, it's not a matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't require your belief. It is based on actual happenings.
Right. So, if we find any event which disproves this, or we can see that this is not correct, then that becomes an opinion, not a fact. Then,
No,
so logic.
Then it can be one of two things. Either this statement is wrong or that statement is wrong. They become mutually exclusive. Because we are saying all agitation is caused by desire. Desire is the sole cause of agitation. That means you have to find one statement, one situation where this is not true, and we will disprove this law. Or we have to show how that statement is not true. One of these two have to be disproved.
So in Vedanta, logic means something that is a fact.
No. Logic is a process of thinking. A fact is a fact.
Sorry, I mean something which is logic. When I say this is a logical statement, what I mean is it is a factual statement.
Yes and no, and it's not in Vedanta. Logic means that you have come to a conclusion based on something. And of course, there are rules. When you remember when we did how do you know what you know? So to say it is logical means what all is involved. First, so it's not in Vedanta, it's logic itself.
Yeah, no, I'm saying because this is a Vedantic statement that all agitation is caused by desire. So we are calling this and we are calling this a knowledgeable statement based on our reasons. So we have the reasons behind making this conclusion.
Correct.
So that is why we are calling it a logical statement.
Correct. Because logic is a process of thinking. So a mere fact is not logic. There's no, I am seeing Momita. There is no logic. So when I say I am seeing Momita, so therefore Momita is in class. Now we have a logic because we have some statement and some conclusion from that statement.
But that is not.
So just a fact is not a logic. A logic only comes if there is some inference, something from something, and that is done correctly. So why are you going so much into logic today?
Because that is the basis for Jnana Yoga. No? I mean, we are making conclusions based on reasoning, sound reasoning.
Correct.
So that is why. So when I'm making the statement, I should know that it is backed by.
Good
It is a
reason.
fact because it is backed by these reasons.
Yes, it is a logical statement because it is backed by this reason.
Right. Yeah.
Janki ji,
Anvesh. Yeah.
sorry, anybody else in the queue for a question?
Yeah,
Then I'll wait.
lots. I don't know what I said, but lots in the queue. Anvesh, I think Krishna put desires as raga dvesha, so desire is equal to likes and dislikes. Now that Krishna put desires is a statement I do not know where you came by, but what reason, like Dipali, what reason do you have to say that he put the desire? If he was here, he'll say, ye achhi baat hai, tum log karo jo chahiye aur mera naam lagao. So how do you conclude that Krishna gave you desires? So
Oh, sorry, I meant to say it in one of the stanzas. I mean, one of the verses. I think it said the root cause is some strong likes and dislikes. So I'm just translating that the raga dvesha that he's talking about is equal to like what you're talking about in terms of desires. Instead of saying desire, it's like dislike and like. Is that
yes,
a
same thing.
fair statement?
Fair statement. Desire means I want something which is a like, and I don't want something which is a dislike. Then we have Deepraj.
My question was, is physical pain different from mental pain? Because they're both pain and they come under mental activities.
Yeah, they're different. So the different means, I don't know, where did this pain come from? Now we are talking about physical pain means something has happened to your physical body. Mental pain means that something has happened at the mental level.
Yes, but they're both mental activities.
No, physical pain is physical pain. Your agitation due to physical pain is a mental activity.
I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about the physical hurt, but say somebody shot a bullet in you. That is going to hurt. So that causes a mental activity. That hurt.
Unless there is a mental activity already, you will not feel the hurt. Maybe that's what you're referring to. Unless you're conscious. Suppose somebody shot you and you're unconscious, you're not going to feel anything.
Yeah, we'll say the person is conscious, he's walking, and somebody shot him from behind. He's going to feel it, and that sensation of feeling is a mental.
No, this is what I'm trying to say, that you will not feel it unless you're conscious. After being shot, you're met with an accident, somebody's met with an accident and they're hurt. But if they're also unconscious, they feel nothing.
Yeah, so
you have to be, your mental activity has to be there to register it. Now, how agitated will you get with that pain is another form of mental activity.
But both of them are mental activity.
Both of these, but the physical wound is a physical wound which you feel only if you're there, but if you're there, you feel physical pain.
Yes, so that would also count as agitation, the physical
Not necessarily. I mean, for that individual, There are stories of Ramana Maharishi. He had a carbuncle on his shoulder and he made them operate. And he was conscious. So I don't know how they do it, but apparently he went through all that and nothing.
Because I was
I think
looking for an example where uh, there is no desire, but there's still agitation.
Impossible.
Say, even if a man of realization is shot, he would still feel the pain, and that will cause mental activity, which is agitation.
Not mental agitation. He's conscious of it, but he's not agitated. Forget all man of realization. When you go to take an injection, just normal injection, nothing fantastic, just a small prick. You feel the pain, but you're okay. A child takes the same injection. What a tamasha will be created. Right? You yourself as a child would have created a massive tamasha. Later on, as you grow up, maybe you get diabetes, you poke yourself, all the patients, they poke at themselves, right? They poke, they take the blood out, then they poke their insulin, they're doing all this thing to themselves. Where's the agitation? That
Yeah,
same
but
people,
yeah.
when they were a child, would have hurt a lot.
But I still register the physical pain that I'm experiencing.
What physical? Are you agitated up there? You register the physical pain, but is there any agitation? One second. So all I'm trying to do is give a known example where you are segregating the two and others are not segregating it.
No, I'm not sitting and crying in like anxiety about, oh my God, I'm gonna get an injection. But when the injection is inserted, it's not a nice feeling.
Okay, but are you agitated?
In that particular moment, yes, I don't feel good. That has to count as agitation.
Okay, then after some time you will come to, maybe you're still young. After some time you'll come to a point, like I gave you diabetes and they're just injecting themselves. It's sometimes they're talking to you and they're having lunch, dinner or something and they just inject themselves with insulin. They don't even think about it. But just an everyday thing. Okay, don't labor this point because it's not really so critical around here.
Okay.
Then Joyce. To avoid agitation, should we try to find the cause for which we have a particular desire? What to do, Joyce, we'll come to later. We just want to establish completely that this is the sole cause, nothing else. Deepak Sethi.
Yeah, Janki ji. Statement 1. All agitation is caused by desire. That's fully bought into. Yeah. Statement 2. I mean, all the illustrations you've given just shows that there was a desire and therefore there was agitation. Statement 2. All desires cause agitation. Is that also true?
It is.
Okay. Now, this is where somehow the experience belies that, because if there is desire, there is agitation, is what this is saying. But many a time we feel that there was a desire and we did not feel the agitation because it was met. So it is, if there is a desire and if it is unmet, there is agitation. That everybody buys into, or meaning at least is bought into. But the second one, that all desires, met or unmet, in brackets, will cause agitation, is not easily bought into.
Yes, because as you said, it belies your experience. Because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do find that, oh, I have a desire or I have a thought and I am working for something positive and I am feeling better, not feeling worse.
And I'm getting it and I'm feeling better because it's moving in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, except, of course, when you say desire, it's always an unmet desire because if you had it, why would you desire it? So, yes,
No, no,
you
what I
do.
meant was I did not have it. I then had the desire because it was not there. Then I got it. Then I feel happy. I don't feel agitated. That is the experience.
Yes, yes. But when you get it, now technically you can't say there's a desire because you've got it. So, what are you desiring having got it? So, wait, let's go step by step. Your point, as it had been earlier, is that I do experience a desire, states of desire in which I'm not agitated. We are going to do all of that in due course, but for the moment, because I think a lot of people have this thing, when you talk about agitations, it is a comparative term. When you talk about happiness or unhappiness, it's a comparative term. So when you have a desire of a certain type, you experience the agitation. When you have a desire of another type, the agitation levels have actually lowered. So according to you, you're a happier person, which you are. But the sages say that you are still agitated because they are talking from zero desire. So everybody has desire. We are moving in more or less, more or less. When becomes more agitated, when becomes less, less agitated, which we call happiness. What they say is you never experienced happiness in your whole life because you never came to zero. So all this is all complicated stuff. So let's wait a bit. I'm just saying it now because, everybody wants to know, like a detective story, you want to know what's happening in the end. We'll come to it. It's all explained. Every permutation and combination of this is being done. If anything is left out, we'll deal with it in class.
Ma'am, I just like to say, whenever there is a desire and you want to achieve that thing, first of all, you have to work for it. So that is a agitation, that is a stress, whatever pleasant, it might be even pleasant. After you get it, you actually achieve it, then there is another type of agitation that you have to maintain it. And then there is a third type of, after that, there is like the fear of losing that thing. So all the while, whatever it is, even though you are feeling pleasant, but there is a stress, maintaining it, and then that fear of losing it, and then eventually when you lose it. So it's like, you like somebody. First, you have to, you want to get the attention of that person. And then when you get the attention, you have to maintain that thing. And then, like, as I said, and finally you lose because nothing is permanent in this world. So that's the, the whole thing, crux of it, that agitation is always going to be there.
Yes.
Even after you have achieved it, because then it's not going to stay with you for always.
Yes, except that now his point is at least temporarily in that point, you got happiness somewhere. So that is Deepak Sethi's point, I believe. But we'll deal with it. How is that happening? But we'll do slowly, slowly. We can't do everything together.
Yeah,
So
got that. So I think the issue is one of absolute happiness, which is what sages are saying, that you will never get absolute happiness because you never reach zero desires. We are talking about relative happiness here.
Yeah, but
which
let
is
us
the
not go to all those things. Let us focus on just establishing, is it true that desire is the sole cause of happiness? That's all we are doing. Let's not go anywhere further. Heard of one Swami who had cancer and replied to a query about his health with, I am fine. Why? And then clarified that the body is in terrible state. Miraculous. Yes. I mean, we all do it to some extent. To some extent, we are we maintain some distance, but when that pain goes up, we don't do it anymore. Prashant Nair. Expecting salary after working is not logical, seems to have opened some new part of mind which always thought it was logical. Okay. Yes, it is what we would like, but unfortunately, cannot always guarantee that it is so. That is the way it should be, not necessarily the way it is. And sometimes our mind does not make this distinction between what should be and what is. We have to learn this difference. Bharat, I'll tell my staff that, yes, Bharat, and then they should stay after you tell them that, but they probably won't stay after you tell them that. Okay. All right, so that's it for today. This Sunday,